Hello everyone, hope you all are doing great. Welcome to a new chapter from ZEITGEIST. This is Ms. Sifna Xavier from the Department of English, Carmel College, Mala. So today we are going to discuss the short story Amnesty, which is written by Nadine Gordimer. So before moving into the short story, let's have a brief introduction to the author Nadine Gordimer. Nadine Gordimer was a South African writer, political activist, and recipient of the 1991 Nobel Prize in Literature. She was born on 20th November 1923 and died on 13th July 2014. From her early childhood, Gordimer witnessed how the white people weakened the rights of black people. It emerged as the foundation of her activism against racial segregation. Many of her books were banned in South Africa by the apartheid regimes. She was a founder member and patron of the Congress of South African Writers. Now let's look into her literary career. In 1991, she won the Nobel Prize for Literature, being the first South African to win this award. She has published in 40 languages, 30 novels and 10 short story collections. Her first book was Face to Face, which came out in the year 1949, which is a collection of short stories mostly concerned with the devastating effects of apartheid on the lives of South Africans. Amnesty is a short story originally published in the New Yorker in 1991 and later included in the collection Gem and Other Stories. It was selected to the anthology entitled Freedom, which came out in the year 2009 and published by Amnesty International, celebrating the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The narrator of the story is a young South African woman, and she is the fiancée of the nameless protagonist. So the story is told in the first person narrative by this woman, and she is a young South African woman, and she is the fiancée of the nameless protagonist, and she is not the protagonist, but she is narrating the story of the protagonist. She tells the story of her potential husband, who is a South African black trade unionist. So she is narrating the story of her fiancé, who belongs to the South African black trade union. The story portrays the deep racial division that infected South Africa under apartheid regime. So it talks about the cultural divide or the political divide that exists between white and black people. So let's move on to the short story. Let me read out the first paragraph. When we heard he was released, I ran all over the farm and through the fence to our people on the next farm to tell everybody. I only saw afterwards I had torn my dress on the barbed wire, and there was a scratch with blood on my shoulder. So the story is having a quick start. We don't know who he is. She is saying, when we heard he was released, I ran all over the farm. So we don't know who he is. She is not giving any introduction about the protagonist, but she is saying that when we came to know that he is released, maybe from the prison, when we heard he is released from the prison, I ran all over the farm to inform everybody that he is released. And with that happiness, she jumped over the wired fence, and she had torn her dress, and that had made a wound on her shoulder. I only saw afterwards I had torn my dress on the barbed wire, and there was a scratch with blood on my shoulder. So she seems to be overwhelming with happiness that she can't express happiness in words. She is running all over the farm to inform everybody that he is released from the prison. He went away from this place 9 years ago, signed up to work in a town with what they call a construction company, building glass walls up to the sky. So who he is, what he had done, and where he is now. So she is saying that he had moved from this place to the town 9 years ago to work with a construction company, a glass construction company. And they make buildings up to the sky. That is, they make building very high. For the first 2 years, he came home for the weekend once a month and 2 weeks at Christmas. So for the first 2 years, everything was fine. He used to come for a vacation for the weekend once a month and 2 weeks at Christmas. So he was having a very good time for the first 2 years of working there. That was when he asked my father for me. That was during that time he came to her home, and he talked to her parents about their marriage. And he began to pay. And I thought that in 3 years he would have paid enough for us to get married. That seems to be strange for us, that he is going to marry this person, this lady. And from that moment, from the decision of their marriage, he started paying the family of the bride. It is different in our culture. It is the bride's family is paying the groom's family in our culture, or in our custom, or in our unwritten rules. But in their culture, in their society, it is different. It is the groom, or it is the man who has to pay the family of the woman till the decision, or till the date of their when they got engaged to each other. From that moment he has to pay the family of the woman or the bride. And I thought that in 3 years he would have paid enough for us to get married. But then he started wearing that t-shirt. So everything was fine then. But that she marks the triggering point. She is saying that, but then he started wearing that t-shirt. It is only after 2 years that he started wearing the t-shirt. The t-shirt is very important, in which the mark of the trade union is printed upon. So this t-shirt marks his growth or his regeneration. For 2 years he was completely unaware of the situation. He was working, he was earning, he was coming back, everything was fine. But it is only after 2 years he started realizing the problems of the black people, and he started working in the black trade union, and he started wearing the t-shirt given by them. He told us he had joined the union. So his wearing of the t-shirt marks his joining in the union. So he had told them that he had joined in the union. He told us about the strike, how he was one of the men who went to talk to the bosses, because some others had been laid off after the strike. So he used to tell everything to her. So he had told her about the strike, and he was one among the men who used to come, or who used to go to the bosses and talk to them about the rights of black people. He has always been good at talking, even in English. He was the best at the farm school. He used to read the newspapers. The Indian wraps soaps and sugar in when you buy at the store. So she remembers that he was very good at speaking. He was very good at speaking even in English, and he was good in reading also. So he was assigned by the trade union to talk to the bosses, because he has got good communication skills. He was able to communicate the problems to the bosses. Let me move on to the next paragraph. There was trouble at the hostel when he had a bed, and riots over paying rent in the townships, and he told me, just me, not the old ones, that wherever people were fighting against the way we are treated, they were doing it for all of us, on the farms as well as the towns, and the unions were with them. He was with them, making speeches, marching. So she remembers what was the starting point. There was some trouble in the hostel in which she was living. There was some trouble there, and it was the starting point. And he used to tell everything to her. And she says that he used to tell everything to me, not to others, not to the older ones, not to his or her parents. He used to tell everything to her. And his ideology was that wherever people were fighting against the way we are treated, they were doing it all for all of us. Wherever people are fighting for the freedom of black people, they are fighting for all of us. So we are with them. The union is with them. Union is with the people who are fighting for the rights of the black people, who are fighting for the underprivileged class, who are fighting for the marginalized class. So wherever people fighting for this cause, we are with them. The union is with them, because they are fighting for us too, not for their selfish motives, but they are fighting for us. The third year we heard he was in prison instead of getting married. So they were supposed to get married in the third year, but instead of getting married, they heard that he was in prison. We didn't know where to find him until he went on trial. They have no clue where he is until he went on the trial. They didn't know where he was gone, what happened to him. The case was heard in a town far away. I couldn't go often to the court because by that time I had passed my standard 8 and I was working in the farm school. So the thing is that she wanted to go and visit him, but she couldn't do that. She couldn't go to the court often because since she has completed standard 8 standard, she has completed her high school education and started working in the farm school. You can imagine, only a high school educated woman started teaching students of the lower classes. So that was the education system there, you can imagine. Also, my parents were short of money. 2 of my brothers who had gone away to work in town didn't send home. So they were having some financial problems, and her parents also were struggling for money. And she has got 3 brothers. 2 of them were working abroad, or 2 of them are working in the town, but they couldn't send so much money. And she is imagining that, I suppose, they lived with girlfriends and had to buy things for them. So she is imagining that they might be living with their girlfriends and they have to buy things for them, but maybe because of that they are not sending any money to the home. My father and other brother work here for the bar and the pay is very small. So she has got another brother, and this brother and her father is working together in the bar, and they are not paid much. We have 2 goats, a few cows we are allowed to graze, and a patch of land where my mother can grow vegetable. No cash from that. From these words, you can know the financial situation of the family. She is saying that they have got 2 goats, some cows, and a patch of land where her mother used to grow some vegetables, but no cash from that. So they seems to be penniless. They seems to be in utter poverty. So with this paragraph, we can understand the situation in which they are living, and I hope you have got a good idea about the protagonist, her fiancé. So with this, I'm stopping today's class, and let's continue in the next hour. Thank you. Have a good day.